Hello, all. I hope all is well. We will be continuing our weekly portion, Short Ideas, and this week we are in Parashat Lech Lecha, and I'm going to be discussing a little of Abraham's journey. And so we are told, "Go forth from your land, Lech Lecha me'artzecha." And curious off the bat, why are we using this terminology, "Go forth"? Why are we not just saying "go"? And in Hebrew and in other languages, when we're told and when we see the word go forth, the phrase go forth, usually this means go by yourself, alone. And we could ask, why is he going alone? And who are these specific individuals that God doesn't want him to bring with him? So in Genesis 12:5, we are told about the souls that they made in Haran. And the sages interpret this as this is a group that that um, that surrounded Abraham at the time in his theological school, where they were really discussing the 7 Noahide laws and some early version of monotheism, and the understanding that if man uh, um, is connecting to God, ultimately he is sanctifying his life. And it seems almost that Abraham had the temptation to keep on with that mission of really working on the individual and on the individual level. But it seems that God is requiring more from Abraham. He would like him to rise to a higher level and transcend, which we obviously see articulated in the verse, and I will make you into a great nation. In other words, he's telling Abraham that you can't be having the discussion just on the individual level. Rather, you need to establish a nation, a body politic, because only at the level of a nation can you start rectifying other nations as well. And this is, in a certain sense, the mission of the people of Israel if they want to be engaging other organized states. So Abraham takes this upon himself, and he decides to leave, right? And Abraham went as the Lord had spoken to him. But then we see that he leaves again. And Abraham took Sarai and his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their possessions that they had gathered in Haran. So we also, a curious reason why we have this repeat over here. So the sages interpret this by saying that he actually left Haran twice. One was to fulfill the divine mission, establishing a nation that God told him to do alone. The second time, he goes back and he wants to still maintain his original mission of influencing every individual in the world. So these two visions that he's trying to do simultaneously are also what is turning Avraham, or in Hebrew it's Avram without a hey, to Avraham with a hey, the father of a multitude of nations. But we also have to ask, how is this an individual? How is he supposed to be the father of a multitude of nations? And the 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 Bible, the Torah, is stressing that precisely by preserving his uniqueness is how he does this. And this expression of the father of multitude of nations is happening at the time of circumcision, which it's a both physical and a spiritual separation from him and the rest of the world. And if you want to influence the world, you need to maintain some sort of uniqueness, some sort of particularity. The Jewish particularity is, and its preservation of its own identity, is what allows us to become the father of a multitude of nations. And this is also contrary to the temptation of thinking that we need to assimilate our cultures, and only that's the only way we'll be able to influence other people. That's what the Torah is revealing to us, that we need to return to ourselves and recognize ourselves to ultimately be a blessing to the whole world. We see again this double vision, these two paths stressed at the end of this portion, when we see that the difference, the dichotomy between Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael is being blessed with an abundance of descendants, and the idea is that he should be able to spread the monotheistic faith around the world. This is the earlier vision of Abraham, which was preceded the commandment from God of Lech Lecha, go forth. In contrast, though, Isaac is entrusted with the covenant specifically of the holiness for the national collective, because God tells Abraham in Genesis 17, verse 21, but my covenant I will establish with Isaac. So he's letting us know that this specifically through the land is supposed to be happening with Isaac, not Ishmael. And this is also why Ishmael is spread around throughout the globe. Because if you are trying to create a more universal conversation, then being bogged down to a specific location will end up being a hindrance. But for Isaac, ultimately his descendants one day will need to proclaim from that place the message to the rest of the world. How a nation, how a body politic ultimately can transcend and be holy, and then discuss that and have that reverberate through the rest of the nations. Uh, During these trying times when Isaac and Ishmael are fighting again, specifically in relation to this land, it behooves us to look inwards, recognize who we are, what our mission is, recognize that these are brothers fighting due to lack of orientation. And we need clarity, the world needs clarity. But at this point, it's important to remember that we are all made in God's image, and we all want to sanctify Him and sanctify life.